Welcome to Bench to Boardroom, where life sciences leaders come for signal, not noise. Concise insights, sharp strategy, and actionable ideas shaping biotech, pharma, medtech, and healthcare. We're glad you're here. Let's begin with a question. When an innovative medicine is delayed, what immediately comes to mind? Most executives would probably answer clinical trial failure, poor efficacy, unexpected safety findings, a failed pivotal study. But increasingly, that's not what is delaying approvals. Today's reality is quite different. A growing proportion of regulatory approval delays are driven not by the molecule, but by chemistry, manufacturing, and controls, or CMC. Analytical validation, manufacturing readiness, facility inspections, process validation, quality systems, data integrity, supply chain robustness. The science succeeds, the product doesn't launch. And that's a very expensive difference. Today I'd like to discuss why CMC has quietly become one of the largest and most underestimated sources of enterprise risks in life sciences. Because by the time a CMC issue becomes visible to executive leadership, much of the value has already been lost. Historically, investors tended to associate regulatory delays with questions about efficacy or safety. Those risks remain. But for many modern approvals, particularly in biologics, advanced therapies, and increasingly even complex small molecules, the conversation has shifted. Many recent complete response letters, or CRLs, have highlighted manufacturing, quality, analytical, or inspection-related deficiencies, rather than fundamental concerns about clinical benefit. Importantly, this isn't limited to one technology. Small molecules, monoclonal antibodies, cell therapies, gene therapies, radiopharmaceuticals, complex biologics, each faces increasingly sophisticated manufacturing expectations. This shouldn't surprise us. Scientific innovation has accelerated dramatically. Manufacturing complexity has accelerated with it. Regulators are asking an increasingly reasonable question. Can this product be manufactured consistently, reproducibly, and safely at commercial scale? That's not a manufacturing question. It's a patient safety question. Now let's quantify the issue. Most executives understand that delays are expensive. Fewer appreciate just how expensive. Industry estimates vary depending on the commercial profile of the asset. For standard specialty medicines, a 1-month approval delay can easily translate into tens of millions of dollars in deferred value. For major commercial opportunities, particularly potential blockbuster therapies, monthly delay costs may exceed $80 million once deferred revenue, launch costs, financing expenses, and competitive dynamics are considered. But perhaps the largest cost isn't the month revenue itself. It's what economists call opportunity cost. The lost trajectory. Consider a launch delayed by more than a year. Early physician adoption slows. Market share develops later. Evidence generation shifts. Competitive positioning changes. Reference pricing implications evolve. Manufacturing utilization changes. And investor confidence weakens. One recent high-profile development program was estimated to have incurred more than $1 billion in deferred enterprise value, driven not merely by postponed revenue, but by delayed peak share capture and the compounding effects of a later commercial trajectory. That's an important distinction. The penalty isn't simply 12 months of lost sales, it's a permanently altered growth curve. And in discounted cash flow terms, early revenue is disproportionately valuable. Every month matters. Here's why I think many organizations still get it wrong. They continue treating CMC as a responsibility of manufacturing, or technical operations, or quality. It isn't. CMC has become a portfolio strategy issue, a finance issue, a commercial issue, a regulatory issue, an investor relations issue, because manufacturing readiness increasingly determines enterprise value. In other words, the last mile of development has become one of the biggest determinants of success. So why do organizations still stumble? Often it's not because expertise is lacking, it's because coordination is. Think about everyone involved. Research, process development, analytical sciences, clinical operations, regulatory affairs, quality assurance, manufacturing, supply chain, external CDMOs, testing laboratories, equipment vendors, regulators. Each may execute exceptionally well, yet value is lost when those activities aren't connected. The missing ingredient is often what I call the connective tissue. A dedicated cross-functional capability that continuously integrates information, identifies emerging risks, aligns timelines, and keeps internal teams and external partners moving toward the same objective. Not at the end of development, from the very beginning. So what should leadership prioritize? First, begin cross-functional planning early. Too often manufacturing conversations intensify only as pivotal trials conclude. But then many critical decisions have already been locked in. Commercial manufacturing strategy should begin while clinical strategy is still evolving, because development and manufacturing should inform each other, not occur sequentially. Second, map every partnership across the development's lifecycle. Modern drug development rarely occurs within one organization. Sponsors rely on CDMOs, analytical laboratories, technology providers, logistics partners, specialized manufacturers. Each handoff introduces risks. Mapping those interfaces face by face and embedding quality management system expectations from the outset reduces surprises later. Good partnerships don't happen by accident. They're architectured. Third, build the right leadership team, not simply technical experts, integrators, people capable of speaking regulatory, manufacturing, commercial, clinical, and quality simultaneously. Individuals who identify dependencies before they become delays. Organizations often underestimate the value of these translational leaders. Ironically, they're frequently among the highest return investments in the entire development program. This raises another important question. Should these capabilities be internal or external? Again, there isn't a universal answer. Internal teams provide continuity and institutional knowledge. External partners contribute specialized expertise, scalability, and lessons learned across multiple programs. The strongest organizations, therefore, rarely choose one or the other. They deliberately combine both, but they ensure someone owns orchestration. Because without clear accountability, complexity grows faster than coordination. And here's perhaps the most important takeaway. Organizations often view CMC investment as a cost. I would argue it's better understood as insurance. Strategic investment today protects your timeline, your valuation, your commercial launch, your manufacturing readiness, and ultimately, your patience. Because every month of unnecessary delay postpones access for people waiting for innovative therapies. That may be the most important cost of all. Let me offer this final thought. The industry often celebrates scientific breakthroughs, as it should. But medicines don't change lives because they exist. They change lives because they reach patients. And increasingly that depends not only on scientific excellence, but on operational excellence. Success today requires strategic collaboration across internal functions, external partners, manufacturers, regulators, and quality systems. When those relationships are aligned, innovation moves efficiently from laboratory to patient. When they're not, launches stall, costs escalate, enterprise value erodes, and patients wait longer for therapies that already exist. Perhaps that's the lesson worth remembering. The final mile of innovation is no longer simply manufacturing. It is orchestration. And in today's life sciences industry, orchestration may be one of the greatest competitive advantages of all. Thank you for joining us on Bench to Boardroom. Always selective, always original, always actionable. Until next time.